السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين فاجزه اللهم عنا خير الجزاء وابلغنا مأمنة. عباد Allah, we are approaching the end of this blessed month. I just remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the coming of Ramadan, coming of that season. And here we are at the climax. Here we are in the last 10 days of this blessed month. The last 10 days, brothers and sisters, where if I need to stop everything extra that I'm doing, it's worth it. If I need to dedicate these 10 days in the i'tikaf, it's worth it. If I need to throw away my phone and social media and television and the internet, is worth it. If one of those 10 days in your lifetime, in this one entire year, is worth every moment of that, are the 10 days that are befalling upon us, inshallah, the next few days. Now, brothers and sisters, and we have to really take this in stride in terms of what really this means. What does it mean to throw away my social media? What does it mean to throw away the YouTube videos that I watch? Well, maybe I'm watching, but someone is like, okay, I'm watching some educational videos, I'm watching some, good information, whatever that may be. But these 10 days, brothers and sisters, are way more important than that. They are the best 10 nights of the year. If you can dedicate these nights, you are really doing yourself a huge favor. One of the reasons why this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked, how come the previous generations, they lived much longer? And they did a lot more deeds, better deeds. So how about the Ummah of Muhammad? And they were given this gift of Laylatul Qadr. So brothers and sisters, no matter what you do, just remember this fact. And the next big question becomes is, so what is more important? Because the question is, okay, let's say I get Laylatul Qadr. I am blessed to witness Laylatul Qadr. What do I do? What do I do? Well, obviously, a lot of people will tell you, and correctly, Allahumma innaka afuun kareemun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. That is the standard the Prophet ﷺ has given us. But when you are engaged in something that is one of the most important nights of your year, one of the most important moments of your life, shouldn't I know what to say and what to do in that moment? If I'm going to be at an interview for a job, a career job that is just amazing, what do? I prepare for it. I prepare for it as much time as possible. I consult other people, I ask questions. I want to go into the interviews and I'm knowing exactly what do I need to say. How do I need to say it? My tone, my clothes, my appearance, my arguments, my points, the discussion, the direction of discussion. I should be in control of that. I should really know what to say. And therefore, brothers and sisters, there are 7 pointers that are extremely important in this moment. They're extremely important if we are one of the lucky ones to reach Laylatul Qadr. So what are those 7 points? Now, understand this fact. When you are approaching something very important, let's say you have an ask, you are a businessman, or you have an ask, a favor from someone, there are etiquettes to do that. In this grand night, Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. This grand night, just one night, the worship of that one night is better than the worship of 1,000 months. It's a lifetime. If you can reach that one night, and all it takes are 10 nights. That's 84 some odd years. 84 years worth of worship. If you can hit it, and you may not have to spend the entire night. Just take a portion of the night, the next 10 nights. Dedicate it and say, okay, I'm going to sleep early. As soon as I'm back from Taraweeh or Isha, I'm going to hit the bed. I'm going to wake up at this time. Maybe your alarm is set for 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you still have an hour and a half, 2 hours. Make sure, brothers and sisters, make sure that you are able to pray Salat al-Taraweeh, the Qiyamul Layl, and Salat al-Tahajjud, for which you are basically have to sleep and wake up. There's a difference, and I'm not going to do that. But keep in mind, let's be prepared. So when the time comes in, when you are in sujood, how do you start? When you are standing up in the middle of the night, in the darkness of your room, how do you start? There are 7 etiquettes that have been explained by Prophet ﷺ. We should start to internalize them, memorize them, try to do as much as of those, inshallah, because that beautifies our appeal, our ask to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I never walk into a room of my manager and say, hey, I need this. You don't do that, right? If you are going to a capital venture and you're sitting down with them and you start and you need a big amount of loan, for example, go in and you properly present your case. You talk about for example, this person, how generous you are, how great the services that you have provided to the community, to this project, to this company, whatever that may be. You begin by praising. You begin by, there's a way of doing that. And we should learn that way. We should learn the prophetic way. and how the Prophet ﷺ will reach out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the 7 ways, brothers and sisters, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would pay attention to you. Number 1, begin by tahmeed and tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tahmeed and tasbih. The hamd and the tasbih, by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by glorifying Him. Allahumma lakal hamd, anta nuru samawati wal ardi wa man fihi. Oh Allah, all thanks belongs to you. You are the nur, you are the light of the heavens and the earth and whatever is in it. Allahumma lakal hamdu anta qayyumus samawati wal ardi wa man fihin. Wa lakal hamd anta rabbus samawati wal ardi wa man fihin. Wa lakal hamd laka mulkus samawati wal ardi wa man fihin. You're praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, you are the praise. You are the nur. You are the beauty of this heaven and the earth. In ways, think of the most beautiful way that you can describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praise Him at the beginning of your dua. You start your dua with that, brothers and sisters, it will attract the attention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just remember one point. You and I, on this world, on this earth, at this one night, there are about 8 billion plus minus people on this earth right now. And if look at it from Allah's perspective, when He's looking at this creation, 8 billion people, He can be attentive to everyone and anyone at any moment given time in parallel at the same time. He has the ability. That's not the question. It's just, where do you want Him to see where the light is coming from this earth? These 8 billion people, where is those lights, where is those sparks that are coming in? If you can visualize that, how can I beautify my dua that it creates that spark, that creates that beauty, that emanates from this earth, and then I can say, oh, here's a spark, here's another spark, here's another beautiful spark. When you beautify your dua, when you engulf it, when you sandwich it with these beautiful ways, it really creates that effect. The next one, and this is what the scholars and the Prophet ﷺ said, try to sandwich your dua, brothers and sisters, with the ad-durud, the as-salat al-ibrahimiyya. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. That's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always accepts. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And we have raised your mention. So when you do that, you are guaranteeing, you are ensuring that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that and whatever comes inside it. The next and the third attribute and etiquette, brothers and sisters, is about, as I said in the beginning, when you are going to ask for, understand the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these beautiful names. Understand which attribute goes with which ask. And what do I mean by that? Understand, if you are going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, you won't start with Ya Qahhar, Ya Jabbar. That's not an attribute you want to start with. That's not an attribute described in His mercy and His maghfirah. You would say, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. If you're asking for forgiveness, Ya Tawwab, Ya Ghaffar. If you're asking for children or a worldly ask or anything ask, Ya Wahhab, Ya Mannan. Understand the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will give you a way, because you're calling Allah with the most appropriate name for that appropriate moment. If you're asking for shifa, for yourself, for your family member, or for anyone, you say, Ya Shafi al-Amrad, O healer of diseases. The attributes and the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters, really give you give you that eloquent speech and that give you that eloquent connection. Because in the middle of that night, in that moment of darkness, when it's dark outside and you are creating the spark that would be probably seen, I'm sure, by Allah from the heavens. One of the most beautiful du'as the Prophet ﷺ used to make, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, برحمتك نستغيث أصلح لي شأني كله لا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين ولا أقل من ذلك. One of the most beautiful du'as. Because what is it saying? Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum. Oh, who are ever living, who are ever, he's up, he never sleeps. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you want true protection, who do you want it from? From someone who never sleeps, never dozes off, is never in a state of unawareness. He's always aware, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, who's everlasting, who's ever living. Think about those attributes. برحمتك نستغيث. He said, أصلح لي شأني كله. Now look at the words of Prophet ﷺ and how he taught us that dua. أصلح لي شأني كله. Fix all my affairs. Fix all my affairs. End of story. There are affairs that I could mention in this few moments, maybe I have. There are affairs, maybe you have been in sajda for too long and you're getting tired, right? You're getting tired. You haven't mentioned something that you really wanted to mention at that time. أصلح لي شأني كله. Fix all my affairs. ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين ولا أقل من ذلك. And do not let me turn back to myself and rely on myself and become full of myself in any way. Give me that humility, that humbleness that would attract your attention to Allah. Then the next one, brothers and sisters, the fourth one, is start with du'as that are been taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the beauty of these du'as, brothers and sisters, and again, there are so many of them, there are so many apps out there now, the Azkar app, the Masnoon Du'as app, there's so many of them. If you cannot remember them, just open the app. If you're standing at a traffic light, or you're waiting for your wife to finish groceries, open the app in this month of Ramadan, in these last 10 days. Just start reading these du'as if you cannot memorize them. But I think most of us memorize those du'as. The famous du'a that's been taught in Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Rabbi awzi'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya. When the human being reaches the age of 40, he starts to realize that where is he heading? Rabbi awzi'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya. Oh Allah, give me the ability to thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon me. وَعَلَى وَالِدَيَّ. The blessing that you have given me and bestowed upon me and my parents. وَأَنْ أَعْمَلَ صَالِحًا تَرْضَاهُ. And that I would do good deeds, do righteous deeds that would please you. Brothers and sisters, the challenge we are going in this life is through. Am I going to be at the end of the day pleasing of Allah? A janazah once passed the Prophet ﷺ, he says, مستريحا أو مستراحا منه. And when the Prophet, when the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim asked the Prophet ﷺ, what do you mean by that? He said, when a human being leaves this earth, then either he is now, because he's lived such a laborious life. This life is not about pleasures, it's not about comfort, it's not about it's just not about enjoyment completely. Yeah, there are some things that you should enjoy. But a believer goes through life, he's waking up for Fajr, he's going to the masjid, he's giving out of his money, he's working in the community, he's doing all these great things. And as life progresses and as you reach that age, as you get older, you're tired. You've done such a great job throughout your life. And when you pass away from this world, you are mustarih, you are comfortable. Now you are back in the comfort of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are back in the company where the rest of it is all comfort. Mustarih, he is comfortable. Or, may Allah protect us from that. Other people who, when they leave this world, the Prophet would describe them as mustarahun min. People are happy that he's gone. People are happy. Oh my God, that person, I'm so happy. He's done so many atrocities, he's done so much bad. People get comfort from his leaving. Either he is comfortable or people get comfort from leaving. The question becomes for all of us is, which category are we going to be in? Are we going to be leaving this world and our Master is happy with us? And we'll be in that category where we have worked so hard and it's time to relax. It's time to take it easy. It's time to just completely enjoy eternity. Or is it the other way around? The Quran and the Hadith of Prophet are full of so many du'as, and I encourage everyone. There's so many. For example, the one رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Very famous dua. Everyone, a lot of us memorize that dua. And sometimes people think about hasana as in رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. Oh Allah, give us goodness in this life and goodness in the hereafter. And the question becomes sometimes in people's minds, like, what is goodness, right? What is this goodness? Is it the wealth of this world? No. It's the actions and the righteous conduct in this life that is going to really bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you ask the dua with humbleness. In the middle of the night, when you're asking this dua, brothers and sisters, that is your connection to Allah. You make dua for your children and for your family. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Beautiful du'as of Prophet ﷺ, so comprehensive. They cover so many aspects that if I wanted to, I would not have found the words. It is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's taught the human beings. He's taught the human beings how to make that dua. What are the most effective ways and words that can really reach out to them? The fifth etiquette of dua, brothers and sisters. Try to just exercise it. Exercise it in the next 10 days and 10 nights, inshallah. Ask dua with humility. Two examples. Zakaria alayhi salam. Look at his dua. What dua did he make when he reached a very old age? And he had no children, and he was worried about what is going to be my legacy, who is going to take the deen of Allah, who is going to continue preaching mankind and invite them to Allah. He would, and this is a dua that was made secretly, khafiyya, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال رب إني وهن العظم مني. He says, oh Allah, my bones have become weak. واشتعل الرأس شيبة, and my hair got gray. It's a beautiful expression in the Arabic language, but we don't have the time to discuss that. واشتعل الرأس شيبة ولم أكن بدعائك ربي شقيا. And I have continued, Ya Allah, to make this dua to you. Bless me with an offspring. And Allah will accept this dua right away. Musa alayhi salam. One of the words that are just been recorded in Quran until the end of time, when he reaches the village of Madian, when he escapes Egypt and reaches the village of Madian, he was a fugitive. He had no money, he had no family, he had no food, he had no support, he had no house. He says, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. Oh Allah, I am whatever you give me, I need everything. Whatever khayr you are going to give me, I am faqir for that khayr. I am the poorest of the poor here. And within moments, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give him residence, would give him a household, would give him a wife, would give him food, you give him protection, give him security, give him everything that he needed at that moment in time. When you ask with humility, when you put your head down in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you say, Ya Allah, I need this. And ask whatever you want. Whatever is good for you for this in this life. The sixth etiquette, brothers and sisters, it is permissible to ask other people to make dua for you, right? It is permissible. But the most effective dua that someone's going to make is going to be you. The most effective dua that's going to be made is going to be made by you. Yes, it's okay to ask living, pious people, please keep me in your dua, please keep me in your dua. We say that all the time. That's okay. But remember this very basic etiquette of dua. I just wanted to mention this dua here. For example, when you say, Allahumma inna nas'aluka bi asma'ika al-husna wa sifatika al-ulya wa bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. Oh Allah, we ask you with your beautiful names and with your beautiful and very high attribute. Wa bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. And with your mercy that has engulfed everything. أن تمن علينا بالشفاء العاجل. That you would bestow upon us complete and full recovery from a disease. وألا تدع لنا فينا جرحا إلا داويته. If there's anyone who's injured, please, Ya Allah, give him dawa, provide for him the sustenance. ولا ألما إلا سكنته. And whatever pain that he's going through, oh Allah, relieve him from that pain. وألا تدع فينا جرحا إلا دويته ولا ألما إلا سكنته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته. And anyone who's sick, please cure him. وألبسنا ثوب الصحة والعافية. And give us health, give us afiyah, give us security. These are very basic concepts that I think we all should remember that. And finally, brothers and sisters, one of the most important etiquettes of dua. When we ask dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to make sure, one thing, very, very important thing, we have to make sure that our rizq and our mal is halal. The Prophet ﷺ says in a very famous hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى طَيِّبٌ لَا يَقْبَلُ إِلَّا طَيِّبٌ. Allah is pure and He only accepts what's pure. Just imagine that. If you bring in sources of income, if the source of your income is questionable or even worse, haram, then that is a problem. There's another hadith about this man who has traveled long distances and is probably at the house of Allah and has come for Hajj. ذكر الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أخضر. You can see the effects of long journey on his body. His hair is filled with dirt. His hair is all over the place. أشعث أخضر. يمد يديه إلى السماء يا رب يا رب. And he's stretching his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the skies and heavens, and says, Oh Allah, Oh Allah. وَمَطْعَمُهُ حَرَامٌ وَمَلْبَسُهُ حَرَامٌ. His sustenance, his food, his drink is all coming from a haram source. وَغُذِّيَ بِالْحَرَامِ فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ. And that is one of the most difficult scenarios. A lot of people face that. How is dua going to be accepted? How is it going to be accepted? We take care of these 7 elements, brothers and sisters, and we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept our du'as in this very month, in the night of power. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to reach the night of power. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who will be forgiven in this month of Ramadan. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us. وَأَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا أَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ الْعَظِيمَ لِي وَلَكُمْ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ فَيَا فَوْزَ الْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ. الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters, says, قال ربكم أدعوني أستجب لكم. He subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, Ad'uni, make dua to me. And I've said this in the past and I'll repeat it again. Brothers and sisters, don't think that we are, by making dua, by making prayers, by doing anything that we do on a daily basis, we're doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a favor. And I always remind you of COVID. Something we saw by our own eyes. The masajid were empty. The Baytullah was empty. Nobody prayed in congregation. It didn't really matter. It didn't really matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's showing us through these examples that He is Al-Ahad As-Samad. He is the only one and He's Samad. He doesn't need anyone. So He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ad'uni astajib lakum. And He says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي, He's addressing the Prophet ﷺ, saying, and when my servants ask you, O Muhammad, about me, tell them, فَإِنِّي قَرِيب. فَإِنِّي قَرِيب. I'm very near them. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I respond to the call of the caller when they call. As soon as you call, that dua reaches the arsh. It doesn't have to even go at the speed of light. It's probably way faster than the speed of light. Billions and trillions of, times faster than the speed of light. We don't understand those things. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Let them call upon me. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. And they should really believe in it. Brothers and sisters, the biggest season of the year as a believer is upon us. 10 days, 10 nights. Spend it in the way that you would never regret. Spend it in a way that gets you that ticket to Jannah. Spend it in a way that saves you from the hellfire. Do whatever it takes. Nothing is more important. Nothing is more important than وَمَنْ أُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. And whoever is entered into Jannah, and if your ticket of Jannah is in these 10 nights, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Do yourself a favor, your family a favor, wake them up. Make sure they are with you, praying, pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking for His favor, asking for His maghfirah, asking for saving from the hellfire. When people are walking on the sirat, brothers and sisters, and they're looking down, the first thing that happens that when you reach the other side, inshallah, those who are entered into Jannah, they are so much happier, not because they entered Jannah, because they were saved from what they saw. There's a reason why every human being has to walk that sirat. And the width of that sirat is going to be as wide, as big for you, based on the weight of your deeds, not how much bank account you have, not how much property or wealth you had. It's based on the weight of your deeds. Think about the weight of your deeds. Does it really count what I did? Does it really count? Was it sincere? Would Allah have accepted it? Was it secretive enough? Did I boast about it in any way, in any setting? Did I start talking about what I did? Ask those questions because they're important. They're important. If they can get you on the other side of Sirat, وَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ, whoever is removed from the hellfire and entered into Jannah, فَقَدْ فَازَ. He is the winner. Talk about winning. Keep your eye on the prize, brothers and sisters, in the last 10 nights. Keep your eyes on the prize. Please, set your alarm for 3 a.m. Set your alarm for 4 a.m., for 2 a.m., whatever time. Make sure you stay up over the next 10 nights leading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please do it. Please do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your people, for your family. Do it for your children. Ask away with yaqeen, with conviction that Allah will provide, and you will see that change in your life. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله، إن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بملائكته وقدسه حيث قال: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين وفي غزة وفي كشمير وفي الهند وفي سوريا وفي السودان وفي جميع أنحاء العالم يا رب العالمين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. عباد الله، رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم وآمنوا به يدافع عنكم وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر.